In these uncertain, overwhelming times, it is difficult sometimes to see exactly how the Trump administration's policies impact individuals. The vastness of the impact of eliminating and compromising our social programs is easy to condemn, but what we don't often know or think about is the impact on individual lives that these policies have. It is heartbreaking and at times too painful to dwell on, but I would like to tell you a true story, that is very close to my heart, as it is a brief description of my late husband, Eric Griffin. Eric was a very bright kid, the apple of his family's eye. He had just started school at 6 years old. He was a star dancer in his local dance class. He was learning to play the violin, and, again I emphasize, very bright. Shortly after starting school, he came home one day feeling ill. He had a fever and hurt all over. By the next week, he was in an iron lung on a ward, like thousands of other kids who had contracted the dread polio virus. This happened just several weeks from the introduction of the polio vaccine. Eric was now functionally a quadriplegic. He couldn't walk and had very limited use of one hand and a severe curvature of the spine, but he was one of the lucky ones and survived. During the next 25 years or so, Eric lived between Roosevelt Warm Springs Foundation in Warm Springs, Georgia, which was founded by Franklin Roosevelt for the treatment of polio, and his mother's home in Florida. Since there was no provision at the time for kids with disabilities to be accommodated in the public schools, he had a tutor in his home, paid for by his single working mother. At 16 years of age, Eric was allowed to attend his local high school, not because of change in policy or law, but because his grandmother, who worked at the local newspaper, advocated and publicized his situation until the school system finally caved and let him attend public school, where he stayed for a year, then went into advanced placement at the local community college. The tuition for college was funded by the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. This academic career was cut short due to Eric's political activism, and he was promptly kicked out of the conservative Southern school. Later, Eric moved to Massachusetts with me and attended Boston University, where he graduated with honors and a Medal of Distinction, with a degree in rehabilitation services, and having fulfilled degree requirements in psychology and sociology. After graduation, Eric spent the next 20 years working in the field of disability rights, deinstitutionalizing and assisting people with disabilities to live independently in their own communities. During this time, the Independent Living Center we formed assisted more than 1,000 disabled people to live in the community with the support services provided by state and federal funding. Eric contributed to the content of the Americans with Disabilities Act and worked toward the passage of that legislation along with thousands of other people with disabilities. A truly grassroots, bipartisan movement. The signing of the ADA by President Bush, the first one, was a moment in history that was celebrated by both Democrats and Republicans, something we couldn't envision happening today. Along the way, we became parents, a role Eric took on with enthusiasm and joy. He homeschooled our daughter for much of their childhood. Eventually, the dread polio virus reared its head again in the form of post-polio syndrome, the virus that just keeps on giving. This left Eric with further functional loss, including diminished lung capacity and constant pain. He was no longer able to work and had to go on Social Security disability, including Medicaid and eventually Medicare. It should be clear by now that this brief history As a story within a story, throughout his life, Eric either benefited from programs and services funded through and legislated by the federal government, or suffered because of the lack of said programs and services. Now, imagine that none of the services and benefits that Eric was able to take advantage of had existed, that he was never able to afford an education, that the more than 1,000 individuals with severe disabilities had remained institutionalized, marginalized, never knowing the joy of living on their own terms. That feels like brilliance wasted, humanity wasted, lives wasted. That is exactly what's happening right now. All of the benefits and services provided to Eric throughout his life are now being threatened by the Trump administration. Every single one. Never mind the fact that providing opportunities and leveling the playing field for disabled folks is just the right thing to do. It's also the smart thing to do for the economy and for our own humanity. Gutting the already poor public health system, dismantling the Department of Education, cutting Medicaid and Social Security, and eliminating DEI is not the way to eliminate inefficiency in government. Compassionate and careful examination of our systems is called for, but not this hate-filled raping of our country, and not the dismantling of our democracy.